I have broad experience across the board from strategy to execution, right? But when you're everything to everyone, you're nothing to no one, right? And people are like, oh, there's so much to choose from. I don't know what to pick from the menus. Welcome. This is the AI Space Podcast, where we strive to empower AI founders, innovators, startups, and businesses to drive innovation and scale their initiatives with game-changing insights. This is our second episode. I'm your host, Sanjay Kalluvilayil, and we're thrilled to have Dan Sinawat, a renowned AI community builder, founder at AI Connex, and managing partner at AI Venture House. Dan is a visionary leader in the artificial intelligence sector, recognized as one of the most innovative leaders in AI in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and to me globally, right? We'll talk about that later. So today we'll discuss AI democratization, empowering businesses and communities, business scaling, cost-effective strategies to grow your business, technology challenges, AI stack, data, security, and privacy, ethical and responsible AI, balancing innovation with responsibility, and finally, encouragement, just final thoughts and insights. So let's dive right in. So, Dan, here on the AI Space Podcast, we highlight game-changing insights that drive innovation and scale business initiatives. What insights have you seen in the last year that founders are using to scale up their businesses?
All right. Hi, guys. Just wanted to say hi quickly. It's Dan, founder of AI Connex and AI Venture House. Pleasure to be here. Just to answer your quick question, I think people that are in AI, right? There's a couple ways of you to scale your businesses. It's, I would say, from a technical standpoint, leveraging on-device AI has been one of the major thing I've seen, right? Like especially computer vision. If you're dealing with computer vision, that is heavy lifting. If you're going to send everything off to the cloud, Apple just released their Apple Intelligence, as you know, right? That has to do a lot with on-device AI processing. Intel and Microsoft just signed agreement to push their AI PC out. So you're going to see more and more of local on-device edge processing of AI would help you scale faster and cheaper. At the end, it's all come down to cost, right? How can you run your business at a most optimal cost?
That's great. So you're saying, typically we think of desktops, workstations, PCs as really having devices and capabilities at your fingertips, right?
Yeah. It's coming back. Everything went to cloud. Now it's all coming back to on-device, right?
Yeah, on-device, the edge,
it's
etc.
that kind of circle going back and forth.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting perspective. That's amazing because, Dan, this is why we started the show, so that our AI founders, people that are looking to get in space, can drive innovation and scale their businesses. And I can tell our audience is going to gain a wealth of knowledge from you today. So before we continue, I want to invite everyone to follow Dan Sinawat and like, comment, subscribe to the AI Space Podcast, because that helps us grow the show to have more impressive guests like Dan. So Dan, can you tell us a little bit more about your background, how you got here, what led you into this foray into AI, and your path in founding AI Connex and AI Venture House? Tell us a little about your story.
Yeah, sure. I was born in New York, grew up in Thailand, just been all around the world. I came back here in Texas when I was 16 and graduated from college in Portland, went to Asia again, spent 10 years in Japan, worked for a big Japanese company like NTT, and then went to work in Thailand again for 4 years, Singapore for 3 years, and now I'm here for the last 1.5 year. And I think that's probably something that I think a unique point for me, that I have seen the world. I've been working in many different countries, and a unique selling point in a way. Right? I've seen how people do business in different countries, and we all have little different, here and there, right? And then I did a small startup myself when I was 20 something with my friend. And back then we didn't even call it startup. We just call a business. We just started a new business, right? And it's not like today where everything's like, oh yeah, let's go get startup and let's go raise some money. It's completely different back then. So it's been kind of challenging, fun, and good to see how things are growing and give back. Right, I wanted to create this AI venture house to give back, to educate a lot with the founders and showing them the truth, right? Tell them straight flat, say, like how you should run the business, or how have many successful people run business, and then how many failure has happened, right? We all gonna run into some good and bad, but I think a lot of people just talking rosy thing, giving hopes, a lot of dreams in the startup world, but no one really talk about negative thing. And I I tell you that probably you're gonna run into 80% of negative things, before you even make it. And there's only small amount of people that make it, right? And that's why I think AI venture house is really not to come here and hand holding you. We're not like gonna be your parents, right? We're gonna come here and tell you like a brothers, like we're gonna give you a fact, and then either you can take it or you can, leave. And sometimes it might be a good thing, when they actually know how tough it is to really run a startup. And I think that's what I see. And from an AI Connect standpoint, it's a global community, right? We wanted to grow this AI adoption, AI access for all. So I mean, there's a different side of thing, right? From startup, it's completely different, right? There's a lot of good and bad into it. From AI adoption standpoint, there's a lot of good that it could impact the community, and that's what I see. From business adoption of AI to give them more productivity, to bridge the gap in the community by leveraging AI. Let's say if the kids who is in underrepresented community before, to buy a PC, it costs you a lot of money, right? That internet day, it was somewhat open, but not as easily accessible as AI today, I would say, right? You got to have some money to buy PC back then, right? So it create a big advantage gap. Now I think, anybody with a phone can get access to AI technology. You can, you know, you can be in any part of the world, but if you're creative enough, you're hustling enough, you might be able to make something good happen with this AI technology. So I see that the democratizing access to AI and how it could give uh, the opportunity to a lot of the people is going to be big, big, big different. We could see $1 billion an IPO company that maybe one or two person. You don't need 100 people anymore in a company to be successful in the age of AI. And that's what I think is the big impact it's gonna give. And I don't think people know enough, and that's why I started this.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you've talked about AI democratization. Actually, that leads you to the next question. You've already touched upon it, but what do you see as the key challenges and opportunities in making AI accessible to businesses and communities of all sizes? How can we bridge this gap? You've already talked about the on-device and phone capabilities, right? What else is there? What other challenges, opportunities do you see? And I know you're doing stuff through AI Connects. I met you originally, actually, when you had just launched AI Connects last year, at the
Yeah,
offices right behind you at the formation of the Cowboy Center, et cetera. And
yeah,
we've passed each other in the past year at different events. So great to see how far you've gone with that. But what do you see as the other challenges and opportunities for
yeah.
businesses of
Well,
all sizes?
yeah, I actually started this January 2024. It was kind of my New Year resolution. Oh, hey, everybody's starting to do AI. Everything on the news, on TV, everything is all AI. So I'm like, but there's a gap in the market, right? I saw the gap, and that's why I started this AI Connects, because no one was talking about AI from a business standpoint. Everybody was talking about AI from a technical standpoint. Oh, LLM this, ChatGPT that, great. Maybe for a little while, it's okay to be all hearing about that. But then now you're going to start to see people start asking, how does it matter to my business? How am I going to increase my top line? How am I going to use it to reduce costs in my company? And that's where it start to, the facts start to hit. And then now people are like, oh, AI is not all that. But the big gap is the education, and have enough people to really looking at AI from a business standpoint. And that's where I think AI Connects come in. We focus mainly on vertical AI, or how do we apply AI into businesses, really AI for business. And we are gonna start another company or another business unit where it's gonna be called AI Training Hub. And it's going to be an AI training, business where we, help enterprise, government, normal user to learn about AI, how you can actually increase productivity with AI tools. Right now, if you go out and ask any company, what do you use to increase your productivity from an AI tool standpoint, you get 100 different answers. Right? There's no real baseline. Nobody know what to use. Even within the same company, no one is sharing that information. Right? You see that all is fragmented. It is everywhere, and it's fine, because we are just the very, very beginning of this AI revolution. And I think that AI, the education of AI and how we applying AI, and then setting the baseline of what AI can do is going to be very important.
No, that's very good. And what we want to do is also set a baseline for people that are new to AI or artificial intelligence, right? There's different use cases, different meanings. How for you, when you start AI Connex, how do you define AI? How do you see it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I always say that don't look at AI as a tool. I think it's fine. I mean, I think AI has two different meaning in a lot of people. One is horizontal AI, like OpenAI, Microsoft, AWS, all this, they built this infrastructure of AI. But for the most people, like for the rest of us, vertical AI is where we should be looking at. Like, how are we actually going to be leveraging that into our business, right? And I think that that's the important part, and that's where I really put a focus on addressing. Like for example, some of the company we have in our AI venture house program are all focusing on this vertical AI. We have one company called Clutch Shots AI that focusing on leveraging AI for creating sport highlights. Think about TikTok, but for sports, right? That's what they do. And again, there's no AI explanation involved in that. It's just all about leveraging AI to make the best highlight for amateur so that they get scout to be noticing them, right? And then again, we have another that using AI to help realtor creating uh, more dynamic website, like have AI to do research and create a blog post for you, and then turn that blog post into a social media post, right? To get more customer to come to your website, and then using AI agent to respond to those inquiry. But it's all about business. So what am I getting into is that 95% of what AI for the rest of us is actually business. 5% technical. And that's what we are talking about. Or at least at AI Connect is we talk business. Like, how does it matter? What is your business? What's your business objective? What do you want to do with your business? Understanding first, and then the technical is just small piece of everything.
Right. No, that's great. I think it's good to put in context that a lot of the models that we think about are really the foundational models and more on the horizontal level, right? And they're trained on generic data, right? And then you need to, in terms of the verticals, there's specific problems that need to be solved. So as businesses start, they need to figure out what is the problem that I'm solving? Who am I solving it for? How do I deliver in a way that's meaningful and valuable to somebody, right? And a lot of times people just focus on the technology or they have a great strategy. And that's all great if that's there. But on the business side of things, do you have a sales and marketing program that gets your message out there, that reaches the right target segments, that's able to communicate that message in a way that resonates and is relevant to their target market, right? And at the end of the day, is like a lot of these foundation models, they have billions of dollars in investments and they're burning through cash each day, right? But a small business owner can't afford to do that. So the question is, what is the business case? What is the low hanging fruit? How can I use AI to lower my costs and also find a way to increase revenues, right?
Correct. Exactly.
Okay, very good. Um, in terms of business scaling, so how can like AI incubators and communities like that you're working in, right, cultivate and catapult a startup from a zero to a unicorn?
Yeah. Um, well, again, I think there's more education that startup themselves have to know, and a lot of them is actually on the business side, right? A lot of people don't know what is the cap table, right? How to raise capital, what is due diligence, all these things. And what is even that money that you're getting means to you or to the investor, right? A lot of people have this kind of myth that they think, oh, hey, I'm gonna go raise capital and all that money is free. It's not, right? And this is what I see wrong with today's world and maybe this new generation, right? They see a lot of these social media people being like, wow, all this company raised 500 million, a billion, 50 million. They thought all this money is just free money, but it's not, right? If you can't, deliver the result, those venture capital are going to come after you, right? And, you know, not enough people actually talk about this. And I think, I want to see people success in this, right? And to be that unicorn takes a lot of grit, a lot of hustling and, long working hour and maybe only 1% of the people going to make it, right? And people that make it would need to understand all kind of thing beside technical. They need to understand business really deep, right? And then be able to, generate more sales and then raise more capital, right? All these elements, I don't think people know enough. And that's why we started this AI venture house to actually share experience. And we're going to have bigger and bigger advisor board that we can have people with different experience. Some that we have is actually served on International Olympic Committee, for example, for sport tech company. Getting access to someone like that is very valuable, right? What have they seen in sport, and why would this tech is important? A lot of people start creating product, but they didn't even think about the business. Is this even someone even gonna want to pay for this, right? This product market fit is super important, right? Be able to understand all that basic thing is gonna be important. How we gonna make the next unicorn? And really, my dream and my vision of this AI venture house is to make Texas the AI capital of the world. And to do that, we need to have a unicorn coming out of Texas to get a respect. Right now, I don't think people give us respect of being the startup hub, right? And people look at Dallas probably like, oh, they got lots of money in real estate, oil and gas. There's a lot of family offices here. I can name maybe handful. I really like maybe less than 10 fingers of real venture capital here in DFW. So that's how far behind from a venture capital standpoint and how we really gonna have a real unicorn from here. But I think it's possible. I have a big hope in this market. Yeah, to be a unicorn. eh, I don't want to give you too much hope. And if people that listen to this and give up their dream, that's fine because we need that you to make it. You're gonna go through a lot more tougher conversation than mine. One of our partner, if you talk to them, you're probably gonna cry after you talk to them for 10 minutes. So that's kind of what the people are waiting for you.
It's like Shark Tank, Shark Tank, magnified, right?
Yeah, yeah, but I don't think there's enough of that here, but we need more, and there's gonna be more, and that's why we're starting this.
All right, no, that's great. There's incubators out there like Y Combinator, organizations like Plug and Play, etc. So if somebody has an idea, right? They're a person, they may not have the technology foundation, they may not even have the business foundation, right? They decide they have a great idea. They may not realize that, hey, I need to go build a minimum viable product. They can reach out to these organizations, and I think the benefit of these organizations, building those communities, bringing in maybe technical expertise, business expertise, other expertise, right, to really help a company or a startup go through that, right? But there's a lot of things that need to be done. You mentioned cap table before, right? Capitalization table. Can you explain to some of our audience that's not familiar with that? Why that's important. Obviously, when you're starting companies, there's equity in a company, right, and how you split that out to investors and yourself and your partners, right? So maybe you can explain that to some of our audience.
Yeah, yeah, I think cap table just lists who own the stock and how many shares and all that. There's a lot more into that, right? And it's very important when you actually talking to the investor who are on that cap table, right? And how much each of you own, right? And then after that, whether you're gonna do a purchase agreement or convertible notes or all that, those are very,
Voting
very
rights.
technical terms. Yeah, yeah, and everything, right? So it's really technical thing which required a separate maybe podcast just to talk about that. But I think that basic thing are very important, right? For you to go raise that capital.
Right. I mean, we've seen stories from different other startups, famous ones, right, where there's arguments between the owners of who owns what and who came up with the idea and how many shares someone have and did their shares get diluted, et cetera, right? So those are things that need to be sorted out in the beginning and written down and not written on a napkin or verbal agreements, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, there's so many ways, like the calculation is just very complicated, right? The more share you issue, the you're gonna dilute more and more and all that, right? There's non-dilutive, dilutive. So there's so many things that it go into the discussion. So yeah, some people could make mistake and give some early investor a pretty good percentage of their whole company and it non-dilutive. So at the end, when you raise more and more capital, the founder could maybe own less than 10% of the company. So why are you putting all those energy building this whole company and you only own 10%, right? So there's a lot of things like that that the founder doesn't really know.
Yeah, especially if you give it to somebody and they have 50%, and the investor has 50% of your company, right? Then if you want to go raise more capital or be more flexible or do more things, it makes it harder for you down the road, right?
hmm Exactly. Yeah. And then you end up like realizing, oh my God, I worked so hard for all these years and I only own this much. On the other hand, some of the investor may got uh cheated by the founder, right? And that happened all the time. Like the founder just doesn't tell them exactly how they calculate the share and end up the investor thought they got this much and then no, oh, after all this raises, you only get this much and then they go into like legal battle and all that, right? And you see that happen all the time. People just don't talk about it.
Yeah, no, that's a great insight because we think about it from the founder's perspective or the owners or the starters perspective, right? But what about the investors? So that's part of this podcast too, is raising that awareness and the things that you should look at, that we should all be looking for as an ecosystem of communities. Everything I think to make the space grow, we have to be ethical, we have to be responsible, we have to be wise, and make it fair for everybody else to create a win-win situation, right?
Yeah, no, I'm like 100% agree with that. The ethical and integrity of the founder is the most important thing. That's what we're looking at, right? At the end is the company, but it's the founder that run the company gonna make it or break it, right? And then I mean, some big VC firm do heavy the due diligence. They go through FBI, background check, and some even do, uh, like, what do you call, Interpol background check. So like for international fraud, and it did happen. I just talked to some of the big VC firm recently that out of hundreds and thousands of their applicants, when they run those background check after they gone through everything, uh, there's a pretty good amount of people that actually had committed fraud overseas, for example, right? There's all these people, uh, which you never thought of, like, is out there, right? And maybe some people, like, they may not even know that they are committing fraud because, again, this myth of getting the funding, it's like a free money, but it's not. You're almost borrowing somebody money or you're giving them a promise that you're going to deliver some result. But if you didn't, what happened if you let your friend borrow some money? Don't you want that money back? Same thing, right? They don't think about that, and there's consequences. And I think there's not enough people that actually take um, that responsibility seriously in building a company. Right? There's a lot of people depending on you, and also the investor and others are depending on you. So if you did everything you could and your company failed, that's fine. But then some people take the money, go out and buy Ferrari, or spend on things that doesn't related to growing their company. Right? That happens all the time too. Or they false promises. You know, just like, oh, my company is gonna be this much, $1 billion worth. Give me $1 million now, something like that. You know, actually, their company's not worth that much.
Yeah, I know any of us that's been involved in some of the crypto space the last couple of years, we probably should have done some Interpol checks and background checks and talk to grandma too, maybe that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you've been part of the Texas blockchain. right?
Yeah, in
So
the
I
past
think,
I was involved with that.
yeah,
Also the
yeah,
blockchain
yeah.
side has been
Crypto
good.
world's maybe worse.
Yeah, at least that was sound. Yeah, the crypto side was a little.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One good thing about Dallas is actually we have a lot of hardworking people here, people that are honest and really, doing the work. Uh, that's one good thing I see here.
yeah, that's great. So, how can a founder or somebody that's getting this space build an AI dream team without unleashing a tech and security nightmare?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I think AI Dream Team probably you need a couple of people that really, really understand the technology deep enough, right? The problem is a lot of people just been interfacing with AI recently. There's a lot of more to building an AI than what you have seen in LLM, RAG, all this, ChatGPT technologies, right? There's a lot more.
Diffusion
You're gonna
models.
have to, yeah, and then you have to mix certain thing. You have to look at certain deterministic coding, right? Applying symbolic reasoning or machine reasoning into it, right? Where 99% of the people don't talk about or they don't even know what it is, right? And those kind of things are important to build a successful, scalable AI solutions, right? That meant something for business, and that's your dream team, right? People that really have done it long enough, or able to dig deep into it enough that really try to understand. A lot of people just like, oh, I have done coding. Now I know AI because I know LLM. I know how to use ChatGPT, but it's not that. Right? A good architect. I think you need a good architect, an AI or digital transformation architect are good for this.
No, you're right. I think we talked on a previous episode about, you can leverage AI or chatbots or whatever to get you going in the AI space, right? But that does not preclude you. You have to get people that truly understand the technology, the architecture, because there's serious data implications, privacy implications, security implications, right? So you got to make sure you have a deep wealth of knowledge in that space, right? There are so many things that can go wrong in terms of financial transactions, people's secure information. There's some severe consequences that could lead to legal challenges, right? So those are things that need to be thought through in terms of how you build that, what we call AI citadel, right? How do you create that fortress that's a strong business?
Yeah, and I would want someone that actually really strong understanding in business. Like, why do we even build this from the first place? Does it really matter for business? Right? People with that business acumen, I think to me is actually the most important. People with the real business understanding and technical understanding, that's the most important. And you can just have one person like that, another good salesperson, and you can probably have two people and a good successful AI company, right? If you just have that.
You got to have that yin and yang. You got to have the strong technology foundation, that strong architecture. And just like you said, somebody, a VC can cut your check for $10 million, right? Then what do you do with that money? That's just getting burned if you don't have a sales and marketing engine that's targeting specific clients, that's delivering value and generating revenues, right? So like you said, the good salesperson or team, technology is there, with somebody with a business understanding and be able to create the proper architecture and the guidelines to go forward. That's good.
Yeah, yeah. And really like can break it down. That product market fit is probably super important. If you can do that internally and someone with that domain expertise in whatever you want to build, you gotta ask yourself, do you have that domain expertise? If you're gonna do an AI for retail, is anybody in your startup has that experience, right? If not, then forget it.
Yeah, or AI for real estate, and there's nobody on your team that knows real estate's ever done real estate or owned land, bought land, understands the contracts.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Right.
So going to 2025, what do you see as the hot trends or topics going to 2025 from a business or technological perspective in AI?
Well, I can definitely see the growth of AI is going to be even more, right? With the new government and probably new regulation, a lot of changes going to be happening, right? So there's going to be an open adoption of AI more and more. So I think there's a very big opportunity to me. And for the market here, I would say that vertical AI it's a great time to capture that opportunity before the big guys start to catch up, right? I think these big company, that foundation model, eventually they might be able to, use apply OpenAI, ChatGPT directly into real estate. You might, eventually will get smart enough, right? But I think we still have a couple years between. So these vertical AI, if you can capture enough customer here, you may not need to aim for $1 billion exit, but if you can be, you know, 20 million, 50 million, $100 million, and capture that within the market of DFW, Texas, I think that's good. I mean, you make good enough money just just doing that, right? Like, selling your vertical AI solution to the businesses that need, and 2026 World Cup is coming. Like, most people don't realize
Oh, World Cup.
World Cup.
Yeah.
Yes, the World Cup is coming here to the US, Canada, and Mexico. Right? That's a huge opportunity. Think of it. We are less than 2 years. We're like 1 year and maybe a half to the next World Cup, which is once in a lifetime opportunity for everybody. Right. And we are not even talking about it that much. I'm probably one of a few that always bring up World Cup into the conversation because it's that much important to all of us. That business opportunity there. I met Dan Hunt, the owner of FC Dallas and Kansas City Chief, like a couple weeks ago. He was talking about World Cup, and we talked at the end, and I even asked him a question. He said the same. There's a lot of opportunity for business, but not many people, actually realize that, right? It's not just for soccer. It's for all business to be, capturing that opportunity, right? There could be, a lot of business for, let's say, translation business, even like, there's going to be a lot of people that come here that can't speak English. You're going to need a lot of bilingual support for them, from travel industry to hotel to, and then there's going to be shortage of staff. We have a company in our portfolio called Intelligate. What they create is that they create an AI greeter. So AI for retail shop. You can put a kiosk at your retail shop, and you can talk to the AI agent directly. Let's say, during the holiday at HEB, everybody gonna be busy stocking and you know check out and everything. No one's gonna have time to tell you what to do with your Thanksgiving dinner, right? And then, like, you go to the shop and like, oh, nobody's talking to you. Well, yeah, you can talk to the AI agent. It's going to happen the same during World Cup, right? There's going to be so many people talking different languages coming to the shop, wanting to buy this, wanting to buy that. No one's going to be able to, respond to all of that, right? So it's going to be so much a business opportunity. And that's why I said this vertical AI is the right time. Start, going after that. And if you can capture as many customers as you can for the next 2 or 3 years, well, I mean, that's a pretty good business for you, right? You may not even need to raise fund. You can maybe bootstrap yourself to making these sales, right? And a lot of time, for most of the startup, being able to bootstrap yourself, or getting a loan to, like, maybe even growth capital. There's a lot of growth capital out there that actually not like VC fund, but help you grow at, very low interest rate, right? There's many options that you can go after to get to grow your business, actually. So, and there's a lot of opportunity out there.
That's great. I think I was going to ask you some of the low hanging fruit in terms of World Cup, but I think you've talked about some of those things, right? So you're going to have people coming here from hundreds of countries, all talking different languages. So, language translation is going to be a big thing. There's going to be tourism opportunities, real estate in terms of booking, right? Restaurants, entertainment,
Mm.
a lot of
And it's
different
not just
opportunities.
AI,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
across the
exactly.
board, but leveraging AI to be able to respond in a more meaningful and personal way to those tourists or people that are visiting here, even just from another part of the United States, people from California coming to Texas, or, somebody from, China coming to Texas. There's in different contexts. And I like what you said about, the grocery store. No one has time, and hey, I need to put Thanksgiving, or, Thanksgiving coming up. I got to feed a family of 10 that's coming in. What should I put, put on your, and ChatGPT or whatever else, and say, hey, what should I include in this dinner, right? So there's different ideas in terms of brainstorming that, right?
Or like even people like me who coming from Asia, for example, we don't do Thanksgiving, but let's say I have guests coming for Thanksgiving dinner. I don't even know what to prepare for them, right?
Right.
Last minute run, I go to the HEB. Oh, what am I gonna do? So
Yeah, that's great.
hey, asking that AI agent would help me a lot, right? Hey, go to aisle 13, pick up these and that, and then this is your recipe for your uh stuffed turkey, whatever.
Yeah, right. And I see that you got the Ford Center behind you in Frisco, and the probably sitting at the formation, right? And we got Cowboys, we got a lot of sports in the Dallas Fort Worth area. What do you see as the big opportunities in sports with AI going forward?
Oh yeah, it's huge. I think sport is probably one of the biggest use case for AI. And I mean, as you can see, World Cup is coming, right? There's going to be so many opportunity to showcase that. And then after that, what's coming in 2028? Do you know?
What is coming in 2028?
Olympic.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, not here, but Los Angeles,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
To the
Not
US, right?
thinking, yeah.
Yeah. But see, all these big major sport event, once in a lifetime opportunity, it's going to be a lot of showcase that we can do and a lot of sports and AI intersections that are going to happen. Frisco, North Texas is the sports city USA, like perfect place to try that out. And World Cup would be the good place to show that, right? And it's only 2 years away, and this inflections of AI is perfect timing. There's no better timing than this, right? I mean, we are at perfect timing, turning point in history with the new government being more pro business, right? And then we're gonna relax a lot more with regulation. There's gonna be more opportunity to do innovative things here. And World Cup is coming, and Olympic is coming. Think about if your startup are able to succeed and show something during World Cup. Of course, you're gonna have a chance at Olympic too, right? I see the next 5 year in the US is the golden time for not just startup, but for everybody. Right. And again, to me, the principle of running any business, AI or not, is finding the gap in the market. And the gap is this. Nobody is thinking of World Cup or Olympic and capitalize on that. Right. Not many people are thinking of that, and perfect. I like that because when not many people are thinking of it, that's my perfect business opportunity. Right. Most people don't look into that enough.
No, that's great. And I think it's also, for our techie guys out there, guys and gals, right? It's a different AI technologies, right? When you think of Chat GPT or some of these models more text based, right? But when you're talking about sports, you're talking about a lot more compute power in terms of having to, look at it's more visual. There's video, photographs, you know, different kind of technology, right? Visual computing, and it works a different way, right? And then if you're looking at graphics, there's diffusion models and those types of things. And you also, from a sports perspective, look at statistics for the athletes, predictions. I mean, even gamblers are probably going to use, gambling and casinos are going to be using AI to predict the winners and stuff like that. So what do you see as some of the technologies that could be leveraged going especially into the sports arena, especially with the World Cup coming?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you just mentioned a few things, but I think computer vision is going to be big. Computer vision is, like you said, very dynamic, right? It's actually dealing with the real world. And LLM is large language model, right? One of the company that I know very well, Worlds.io, the founder, Dave Cobbs, is here, Worlds.io, out there, startup of Dallas. And I think they could be the next unicorn of Texas, right? But the founder, Dave Cobbs, said it, he said that with computer vision, we are dealing with large world model, LWM, right? Where it's very dynamic. It's so complex, things are moving. There's not a lot of things that you have seen before, right? A lot of changes all the time. You need to relearn it. It's very difficult. Fei Fei, the mother of AI, she's very famous. She just raised 500 million for her new company dealing exactly that, right? To create a world model, right? So it's and you're going to start to see more and more of that. And sport is a perfect place to leverage that. I mean, we work, like Hotshot AI, we talk to some of the company, and I think, oh, another good thing is that here we have plug and play. Sport tech plug and play is actually located here in Frisco. So we get that good ecosystem, and access to some of the good startup. They were here last week. One of them was AI.io that do AI Scout, for example. They use AI to analyze how you move and using just your phone, to analyze the movement, the performance. Are you, when you kick the ball, is your, hamstring moving in the right way, right? And are you, when you're doing certain drill that they let you follow, are you able to follow that, and AI would be able to identify the next talent. And they did that successfully in India, where they, have people all over the country in India download this app called AI Scout, right? And follow the drills to find the next best soccer talent. And I think they could get 1,000 or maybe even 100,000 of people uh, downloaded that app and then go through the drill. And for a kid that never played soccer but ever able to complete those drill, naturally, you know that he's gifted, right? They were able to screen from hundreds of thousands of people to just maybe a couple hundred and invite them to the camp, right? You reduce so much time. It could take years to find that to just maybe couple months of the campaign, right? Leveraging AI technology in sports going to be huge. And then, of course, improving your own like athletic performance. Like I think, one of the top tennis player, he probably spent $2-3 million a year on himself using AI technology to analyze his next opponent, where the ball going to land, right? How does he normally play this, right? So that's how much it's going to be, utilizing.
I think that's important insight because you think about AI. Okay, it's going to help you work on your form, give you some training, etc. But then to be analyze your opponent and say, okay, 60% of their shots go here, or if they're doing on their backhand, how successful their backhand is going to be, right? Or maybe they tend to not return. I'll just make something up. 80% of the shots if you hit it here. So if you hit it there, you have a better chance of winning, right? So that's pretty insightful there.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And and all those little details, human can't, possibly be able to work on all those numbers, right? So, analyzing that would be important. So, like, data, numbers in sport, and applying AI to help you with that analytic will be very important. So,
Yeah, I think also when you're going back to the India example, right? I think AI doing it like an AI scout has an opportunity to really lift people out. Maybe they didn't have another opportunity or a situation, and especially in some of these developing countries, other areas, right? You can really identify some people and give them a better future too, right?
exactly. Yeah. So it's about democratizing that, maybe access to AI or access to different sports or opportunity. I think it's about opportunity, really. You're democratizing the opportunity.
Yeah. Let's take a step back. AI Connex. I know you were traveling internationally. Tell us about some of your international trips and what you were doing there.
Yeah. So this year we have done already events in 3 different countries and partner with 5 different countries as well. Um, we did our first international event in Thailand with NVIDIA and the Banking Association of Thailand. So we have all the C-level of every bank join us for a day of discussion around AI and finance. So that was great. And then we did 3 events in Singapore, one with Dell and big system integrator there called NCS. Um, Biggest one we did in Singapore was 5,000 people with my friend who run an event called Super AI, where we had the founder of Stability AI, like EMAD, my good friend who's the father of AGI, Ben Gotzo, who was one of the opening speaker for us on Monday at AI McKinney. He couldn't be there in person, but he gave us a pretty good video message around how he think about AGI and the integration with music and movie and everything. So, and then we have other keynote speaker as well, like the founder of Boston Dynamic, Mark Rayburn, uh, Balaji, who's the CTO of Coinbase, and a lot of prominent people. Even Edward Snowden, he joined via virtual because he can't leave Russia, for example. But
Yeah, I was supposed to be at that event, but I couldn't make it. Now I regret not being able to attend it.
yeah, we're gonna do it again next year, 2025 in June, 18 to 19, I think. I'll double check on that date, but look it up, superai.com. You're gonna be able to find that event and get your ticket early on. And we actually have startup pitch at that event as well. People flying in from all over the world to the event to pitch on that stage for a chance to meet with a lot of investor that's gonna be there, like a big like Antler, some of the big partner and even founder of those VC company were there.
No, that's great. That's great.
Yeah. Oh, and also Tokyo. I did one. I forgot Tokyo. We did with Plug and Play at their office as well. Yeah. And then in Austin, we jointly hosted with Capital Factory, and we welcomed the Moroccan government there to talk about AI and AI data center at that event.
Yeah, you mentioned the AI and finance. So, what are some insights in the finance space for AI?
Yeah. Well, I mean, fraud detection is a big thing. Right? I think right now using that in fraud detection is very, a pretty good use case.
I think that's probably one of the number one use cases, whether it's finance companies, insurance companies, that's a critical thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's one company that we know very well called Vault Security. They're actually developing pre-transaction fraud detection and leveraging AI technology as well. So, like normally people like me and you, when we get a suspicious transaction, it's post-transaction, right? Maybe one transaction already gone through, and then the next 10 got blocked because, whoa, suddenly in 1 minute I have 10, 20 transaction. It just happened to me last month, actually. $2,000 first transaction went through, and then the bank stopped the rest, but then they call me after that, right? It's already happened. I already got charged for 2,000. I had to win and dispute and get my money back, right? But this new technology of pre-transaction fraud prevention, it's like Clear. Have you done Clear, where you actually have to scan all your biometric and then your driver license and everything, right? So let's say you're in Dallas, but the transaction happened in Chicago. You get that notification in your app from Vault Security and said, "Hey, is this you? Can you scan your biometric?" Right? And to get that transaction approved. Then if I'm like, "Whoa, this is not me," then done. No more transaction, right? And I'm not even charged for that.
Well, if you take it a step further, if they know that, you're in Dallas and you've just put gas in your car and you've going to dinner with your family, right? And then somebody's in Vegas or some podunk place and they're at a gas station buying $50 worth of convenience store items, right? That shouldn't go through. We say, hey, we know from the transactions that Dan can't be at three different gas stations at one time, right?
Yeah, but it's still gonna happen in today's world. I think, there's nothing that really helps stopping it because all this, they can't go through all this possibility, right? But when you have that kind of pre-transaction, it kind of makes sense in a way, right? When it require your biometric. So,
Yep. All right. So, what advice do you have to founders or people building businesses to balance innovation with responsibility?
hmm yeah. That's big. I think ethical AI is huge and it's very important. One of the startup in our portfolio called Spring Design or Spring's AI Studio done a really good job. Think of Canva, right? A Canva tool, Adobe tool that you can generate any images, right? But they have a B2B integration into your website. So let's say you're a clothing store, with Spring AI, you can actually have that tool directly on your website and upload your face, and then you can try on different clothes and even use AI to generate new clothes. But what they have built into their product is ethical AI built in, where if you type in something bad or very offensive or nudity, it will not generate anything, right? So, like having that built into your product from the beginning is very important, right? So you're gonna see more and more people need to be thinking of how you create your product ethically from the very beginning, from ground up. Like this company, the founder, she's local here in Frisco. Jabin, very, very, good person. She has a kid and she thought about her kid, and that's why she built her AI product that way. And she just won a startup pitch at our event on Monday as well.
Well, I know you didn't know this, but you gave a perfect advertisement for our episode number 3 because we got Jabin from Spring coming on to the next episode. So that'll be a wonderful, that's going to be more about, especially with folks that are interested in more media and visual type applications for AI, so that's great. I'm sure she has a wonderful story too of how she's done stuff from a user experience perspective. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
So now we've talked about, AI Connex, AI Venture House. The reason you started, from what I understand, a lot of these incubators and larger companies, they want your solution to be a little bit more baked before they work with you, right? So you've developed AI Venture House to kind of bridge that gap, right? So there's a point from ideation to maybe an MVP to getting a little bit more baked before somebody takes you seriously. Walk our audience through that process of, how you step in and help someone to get it from like, okay, something's there's a nugget there, to something that's a little bit more baked.
hmm Yeah. Well, I think, again, we come in from where we give you real feedback, right? We're not just teaching you how to do a pitch deck, how to create a presentation, how to, just basic things, right? We bring in people who had previous exits before, like my managing partner, Samir. He has multiple exits himself, right? He just had one recently in India. He started a company 4 months and he sold it for 15 million, for example, right? People with real exit experience would be able to give you direct opinion and feedback whether your product right now is work or not. And, should you even go that route, and why didn't you take that path, and all that critical feedback is super important early on, especially when you're like just start building your product and having the first few pilot customer, for example, right? We don't want you to go waste your time. We want you to be successful. If you want to focus your energy on building a product in different direction, we would give you some of those suggestions, right? Like one of our um, portfolio company, Intelligate. At first, he was creating a product that was more broad, like an AI platform that served all kind of vertical. Then it slowly become almost like a competitor to OpenAI in a way, and you don't have that much of a budget to go compete with those $1 billion company, right? So we advise that he pick a vertical where you can go after and you can create a clear go-to-market strategy, right? So we discuss and, we pick retail because what he had to build was great for a retail, like an AI greeter, right? It can be easily applied in many shops and, where you need, we don't have enough people already, right? And all new data come in, new product, new pricing are coming out all the time, right? You can't train human fast enough, right? So we decided to go after retail. Now to create a go-to-market strategy for retail become easier. For example, we are able to pick, let's go after retail association in Dallas. And then maybe let's find a franchise owner association. Maybe they have a event coming up in December that we can go to and we can start, building that relationship and then finding maybe a more narrow go to market, right? And, once you talk to that, you can see how easier it is to go after that market than just, such a broad product. You don't know where to go focus, right? I would always advise the startup to, pick one thing that you can be the best at and then, be number one in that market first, and then you can expand, right?
Yeah, you want to be able to rinse and repeat and scale that.
Yeah. And if you try and then like, oh, it didn't succeed, at least you know that, okay, that vertical might not work. And then you go find a new one. At least you have a quicker uh, proof of concept that way.
Yeah, when I started my consultancy, I had broad experience across the board from strategy to execution, right? But when you're everything to everyone, you're nothing to no one, right? And people are like, oh, there's so much to choose from. I don't know what to pick from the menu. Sometimes you just gotta say, this is the one item on the menu, right? And focus on that. I think that for startups, identify who your target segment is, what's that ideal customer profile, what are their pain points, what problem you're solving, how are you going to solve it for them, what's the value you're delivering to them, and communicate it in a clear way that resonates as relevant to them, right? And that's where I think companies are going to be more successful, is to go forward and do something like that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's why we built this, AI venture house in a way that is more like a membership, mentorship, and where you get real feedback, right? Honest feedback. And both of us have skin in the game. Like you're already paying for the membership. You get access to people like me, Samir, and some of our advisors that you can get, you wouldn't get normally. Right? We are talking to one of our new partner who's a very big venture capital firm. For you to even walk up to those kind of people is not possible, right? But, they will be available to you through our program, for example, right? And even 10 minutes conversation with such people, maybe more than a month spent in some, training program, for example, right? You get right to the point, like when you talk to the VC and they're like, no, like, I don't think, we wouldn't invest in that, but, go look at different things, hey, I would rather be told that, than going through a whole month of training and then got nothing out of it, right? And then I'm still confused what I should do. So, and that's what we want it to be.
Right. I think, is making sure that people use their time, talent, and energy, time, talent, treasure, right, in a smart way. The last thing you want to do is burn through thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars and find out it doesn't solve any problem. It doesn't provide any value to anybody, and have to go through a failure, right? So, Dan, I think we could talk all day about AI innovation and building
Yeah.
businesses in the AI space. We need to talk more and hang out more, right? But we're coming up on times for our listeners. Where's the best place where they can learn more about Dan Sinawat, AI Connex, AI Venture House, and connect with you, or get more information and getting involved, right?
Yeah. I think just follow me on LinkedIn. That's number one. You can go find me, Dan Sinawat. I'm the only Dan Sinawat in the world, probably. So sometimes it's good and bad, so.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much the only Sanjay Kalluvilayil in the world. So, I think on LinkedIn too, for sure. So, that's pretty cool. Do you have other social media that mostly LinkedIn, or other social media or other activities that people can reach out to you?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is number one, and you can go to our website, AIConnects.ai. That's our main website.
Okay, cool. That's fantastic. So everyone make sure to check out and connect with Dan Sinawat. Don't forget to follow us, the AI Space podcast on LinkedIn, subscribe to the YouTube channel, find us on your favorite podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple. So, hey, Dan, I've learned a lot from this episode. I can't thank you enough for, the things I've learned. We talked about AI democratization, building communities, how to scale the businesses, being ethical and responsible, right? We talked about World Cup, the Olympics coming, and the opportunities in sports, right? We talked about especially visual type AI, different technologies around that, and different opportunities, really helping companies to be a little bit smarter as they go forward and getting practical advice, real advice from people that have already done this and have some exits where they've actually made money. They probably lost some money too and made some money, right? But then also just being smart and, protecting yourself as a business person, but also reaching out to the people in the right way. So, Dan, I can't thank you enough. This is our second episode. Thanks for sharing your insights with us today, and I really appreciate your time. It's been amazing.
Same here. Yeah, really fun talking to you. And look out for more announcements from us. We have some new and surprise announcement coming up with our new partnership for AI Venture House and AI Connect. So
awesome.